but don't look down. 'Cause I'm on top of the world, eh? I'm on top of the world, eh? Waiting on this for a while now, paying my dues to the dirt. I've been waiting to smile, eh? Been holding it in for a while, eh? Take you with me if I can. Been dreaming of this since a child. I'm on top of the world.
Ground control to Major Tom. Ground control to Major Tom. Lock your Soyuz hatch and put your helmet on. 10. Ground control to Major Tom. 7. 6. Commencing countdown, engines on. 3. 2. Detach from station and may God's love be with you. This is ground control to Major Tom. You've really made the grade, and the papers want to know whose shirts you wear. But it's time to guide the capsule if you dare. This is Major Tom to ground control. I've left forevermore, and I'm floating in a most peculiar way, and the stars look very different today. For here am I sitting in a tin can, far above the world. Planet Earth is blue, and there's nothing left to do.
Chris Austin Hadfield is a retired Canadian astronaut who was the first Canadian to walk in space. A former Royal Canadian Air Force fighter pilot, Hadfield has flown 2 space shuttle missions and served as the commander of the International Space Station. He was accepted into the Canadian astronaut program by Canadian Space Agency. He first flew in space aboard STS-74 in November 1995 as a mission specialist. During the mission, he visited the Russian space station in April 2001. He flew again on STS-100 and visited the International Space Station, where he walked in space and helped to install the Canadian arm. In December 2012, he flew for a third time aboard SOYUZ-TMA-07M and joined Expedition 34 He was a member of the expedition until March 2013, when he became the commander of the ISS as part of the Expedition 35. He was responsible for a crew of 5 astronauts and gained popularity by playing his guitar in space. His mission ended in May 2013 when he returned to Earth. Shortly after returning, he announced his retirement, keeping a 35-year career as a military pilot and an astronaut. Hadfield was selected to become one of the 4 new Canadian astronauts from a field of 5,330 applicants in June 1992. Those of 4 have flown in space. He was assigned by the Canadian Space Agency to the NASA Johnson Space Center in Houston, Texas, in August, where he addressed technical and safety issues for shuttle operations. Development contributed to the development of glass shuttle cockpit and supported shuttle launches at the Kennedy Space Center in Florida. In addition, Hadfield was NASA's chief the voice of mission control to astronauts in orbit for 25 space shuttle missions from 1996 to 2000. He represented CSA astronauts and coordinated their activities as the chief astronaut for the CSI. Some of his duties included coordination and direction of all International Space Station crew activities in Russia, oversight of training, and was chief of International Space Station operations from 2006, 2008, and 2009. He trained as a backup to Robert Thirsk on the Expedition 21 mission. In May 2010, Hadfield served as the commander of the NASA announced in 2010 that Hadfield would become the first Canadian commander of the International Space Station, leading Expedition 35 after its launch on December 19th, 2012. His craft docked with the station on December 21st. 1,000 kg of food, water, and scientific supplies to the cosmonauts. Hadfield flew as the first Canadian to operate the Canada arm in orbit and the only Canadian ever to board her STS-100 in April 2001. Hadfield served as a mission specialist in June 2013, 1 month after completing his 3rd trip to space. Hadfield announced his retirement from the Canadian Space Agency effective July 3rd, 2013. Hadfield said that after living in the United States since the 1980s for his career, he would be moving back to Canada, making good on a promise I made my wife nearly 30 years ago.
Once inside that medical tent, the crew will get their initial medical exam. Meanwhile, Canadian Space Agency astronaut Chris Hadfield being lowered into his seat now after being extracted from the Soyuz craft. All 3 crew members now safely out.
We'll see it once again. Oxygen 90.
Thumbs up from Canadian astronaut Chris Hadfield returning from his command of the International Space Station. Chris was the first Canadian commander of a spacecraft, wrapping up a historic 144 days on board the station.
I'm on top of the world. I'm on top